It's not working. Test. A little more, please. Test.
Let me say at once how much we appreciate this magnificent turnout. And it is particularly pleasing and encouraging to see the number of high school students here, including those from the rural areas. I think this is an encouraging sign for the future of Jamaica. The large turnout to this lecture in morality and community is no doubt inspired by the reputation of the lecturer, Reverend Dr. Burchell Taylor. And in this, we have chosen a subject for this fourth lecture, moving away from what one would regard as broadly economic themes of the first three. We are moving away from the economic and the primary material into this socio-ethical area. So I suspect too that apart from the attraction of Reverend Dr. Burchell Taylor, that the turnout is partly due to the subject we have selected. The question of ethics and morality has posed problems which have plagued the societies of Jamaica and several other CARICOM countries over the last 2 decades. And these are issues of increasing concern. Indeed, only yesterday afternoon, in his inaugural address, our new Prime Minister, the Honorable P.J. Patterson, emphasized the need to restore integrity and probity in our public life. He also declared his intention to reform the Integrity Commission and legislation, and among other aspects, his intention of disclosing publicly his personal declaration of assets. As has been our custom, the full lecture will be broadcast on radio in 5 tranches, and copies of the unexpurgated version will be laid on the table here for you to pick up as you go out this afternoon. And now I will ask Reverend Sam Reed, who is chairman of our lecture subcommittee, to introduce the lecturer.
Professor Mills, chairman of the GraceKennedy Foundation, Chairman Diaz, and other distinguished persons on the platform, ladies and gentlemen, our lecturer, fourth GraceKennedy lecturer, is the Reverend Burchell Taylor, a distinguished Baptist minister, the son of distinguished Baptists. You will understand why I'm stressing Baptist, distinguished Baptist pioneers, Reverend Thomas Burchell and Reverend William Knibb. They must have known something we have the honor and the distinct pleasure this evening of welcoming their son, who in his turn has made himself distinguished as a minister of the gospel, a preacher of note, a scholar, and a Jamaican of whom we can all be very proud. Professor Mills has indicated that the subject matter for the lecture of this year is quite a departure from the pattern with which we started. We dealt so much with the economy and so on, and the material situation. But everybody knows of the Jamaican society is an attitudinal one, and it is time we started to deal with the psyche of our people. And no one better to handle the subject than our speaker for this afternoon. Dr. Taylor is a graduate of Calabar Theological College, and there is a scriptural condemnation which has caught up with us that says, eyes have they, but they see not. And only this afternoon, in reading the printed version of the introduction to the lecture in the book form, in the introduction of the speaker, it says that he is pastor of the Bethel Baptist Church, Halfway Tree. That is correct. He is president of the Baptist World Alliance's Study Commission on Ethics and Communication. What happened there is that a line has been skipped. What it should have read is that he has served twice as president of the Jamaica Communication. I do hope that he will forgive us for this oversight. Great pleasure to introduce to you the Reverend Dr. Burchell Nib Taylor, our lecturer for this year, 1992. His subject, Free for All, a question of morality and community. Dr. Taylor.
Professor Mills, Chairman, distinguished members of the platform, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to say a word of thanks. Thanks for this great honor, and thanks for the privilege to be invited to be the lecturer this afternoon. Surely, I would not be speaking the truth if I did not indicate that I find it a daunting and an intimidating task. I am intimidated by the great line of succession into which I fall this afternoon. I'm also intimidated by the fact that the Grace Foundation has taken a calculated risk in choosing the subject that we have for this afternoon, and the risk becomes greater in their asking not simply me, but asking one who is connected to the church. For surely, bearing in mind the kind of society that is developing and to which reference will be made, to invite someone who belongs to the church in the capacity that I serve the church, is to invite probably instant dismissal of any seriousness as far as the intentions are concerned. I'm intimidated by the fact that it is a very great and big topic, but I'm encouraged by the fact of the presence of many of my colleagues whom I know are not here this evening with their critical caps on, but they are here to give me moral support. I'd like to say thanks to the many persons who have been so helpful over the past months and weeks as we gave consideration to what is to be done and as we reflect on the work that is to be presented. People who embarrassed me with their professionalism, people who were so patient, and people who were so understanding. I would like to thank them all. And as you have heard, the topic is Free for All, a question of morality and community. And this topic was chosen because I do believe that the Jamaican society as we know it today stands at a most critical point in coming to terms with itself, in coming to terms with its self-understanding, and in working out its future shape, form, and structure at the most fundamental level. This, I believe, is most evident in every area of life in our community. But it is evident even more so in the area of morality as it relates to the social order. Of course, this is not something that will necessarily receive wide-scale acknowledgement, but as we shall see, this is part of the critical issue that we face. I would like to suggest that at this particular time, the society appears to be caught up in two movements, or in a double motion. It is caught up in a movement where it is catching up, and it is caught up in a movement where it is being carried away. On the one hand, then, it is a society that seems to be belatedly coming to terms with certain of the dominant features of the modern age associated with Western culture and Western civilization. This is represented by a new framework of thought and new rational criteria for reflecting on, managing, and working out our human affairs. In the process, it has meant that previously unchallenged and presumably unchallengeable sources of knowledge and moral authority have been brought under close scrutiny, and in some notable instances, they seem to have been found wanting. A new sense